Hello everybody, it's Dylan Milks here for Friday, August 31st, 2012. Well, today I want to talk about, give my commentary on what I watched last night in the speech by Mitt Romney last night, the GOP presidential candidate. And man, it's really tough sometimes to sit through those 40 minutes of those political speeches, because I'm telling you, it is just laced with nothing but half-truths, in some cases untruths, and a bunch of political speak that is solely designed to rile up the base. And in all honesty, he does say things that on the surface sound very good, and cause people to really get all riled up. And there's a couple points I want to make there regarding some things that he said. 2 points in particular that he makes, which I want to kind of expand upon and show that how not untrue that they are. The first point is he talks about China and China manipulating its currency and wanting to punish China for being a currency manipulator. Now, the world of currency trading basically it's like a scale. It's like a balance. Now, for example, if the US currency is up here and the Chinese currency is down here. Now, if he's saying, well, he wants the Chinese currency to rise, so that they will stop, benefiting from the cheap exports, then what's going to happen to the U.S. dollar? It's going to fall. It's basically a scale and a balance. That's basically how currency trading works. So now the U.S. dollar now is up here, Chinese currency down here. He wants the Chinese currency to rise. That's going to then cause the U.S. dollar to fall. And of course, when that happens, everything that Americans purchase is going to cost more. And not only that, but that process will more than likely affect even Canadians like myself in what we pay at the pump for gas and food as well. So really, and the reason why they're pushing this kind of agenda is because of the exports. Now, of course, it's no secret that over the last 30, 40, 50 years, exports in America have dropped off dramatically. And of course, there's been that shift to the cheap labor markets of Asia, China in particular, and Southeast Asia. So what they're trying to do by having policies like this is that what they're trying to do is actually devalue the US dollar, so that therefore Chinese exports become less cheap and U.S. exports become, more cheap or more, priced more reasonably, so that other countries will consider purchasing from them. So really, again, on the surface, this policy sounds great, and it sounds so, so pro-America. And he sounds here like it's like he's going around the road with the big stick and the big hammer, saying, we're gonna nail you there, China, for manipulating your currency. Well, the flip side of that, folks, is that every American is going to suffer greatly for that, and that everything that they buy, from gas pump to food, everything is going to go up in price. When I say everything, I mean everything that people need to live. Meaning, you need gasoline, you need food, you need energy, electricity. All those types of things are going to go up in price based on if somebody actually implements a policy of punishing China for manipulating its currency and keeping it at a suppressed level. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Second point I want to make is this whole idea of, he stated in his speech, one of his 5 major platform points was North American energy independence by 2020. Wow, that's a pretty grand goal if you ask me. 2020 energy independence. Well, let's just take a walk here down history for a minute here. Now, every single U.S. president has stated in their speeches, whether it be at their nomination speeches or in their inaugurational speeches, that every president since Jimmy Carter has stated their goal of U.S. energy independence. Okay, now let's just think about that. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush Sr., President Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama. Energy independence. Now, in fact, Mitt Romney even puts a timeline on it. I'm surprised that any American actually would buy into this this charade here, because for the last 35 years, every president has promised this and said this is their desire, this is the direction they want to move down. But yet, after 35 years, they're actually further from that goal than they were, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So even though they're saying that this is their desire, they're clearly, year after year, they move away from that goal. Now, I'm really surprised that the average American doesn't really catch on to that and start asking the tough questions. Now, why is this? Why is it that every president has wanted this, but yet no one has been able to even take one step closer to that goal? Well, here's why. Basically, what a lot of people refer to this as the petrodollar standard. And what happened now in Richard Nixon's presidency, when Henry Kissinger was the Secretary of State, he went around to all the oil-producing nations, OPEC at the time, and basically, the OPEC nation, and said, "Look, guys, especially the Middle Eastern countries, those were the real keys here." He basically made a deal with them and said, "Look, guys, we've got oil in our own country that we could drill, but let's work a deal out here. We'll buy oil from you guys, particularly the Middle Eastern countries, if you do a couple things for us. Number one, first thing you do is all oil transactions throughout the world will be done in U.S. dollars. So in other words, Saudi Arabia sells oil to, let's just say Spain, that transaction is done in U.S. dollars, not in their local currencies. Let's just say United Arab Emirates sells oil to, name it, India, U.S. dollars. That transaction's in U.S. dollars. Even in Canada, Canada's now we're looking at partnering with China. China buys oil from us. They buy that in U.S. dollars, not in our local currency. Second thing, the deal was, now what that does is that actually gives the U.S. dollar global, sort of a global status of being the reserve currency. It also gives the U.S. a lot of power when it comes to monetary policy throughout the world, a lot of influence. Number two, the second thing was they say, well, with the proceeds, with some of the profits that you make from us buying oil from you, we want you to reinvest those and start buying our debt. So what that enables the U.S. to do is to continually run these massive deficits year after year after year after year. So that was the second part of the deal. Third part of the deal says that we'll buy your oil from you. We won't use our own oil. We'll buy it from you guys in the Middle East if we can put bases on your soil. American bases, military bases on your soil. And it's no surprise, folks, that if you look around the Middle East, a lot of those very wealthy oil-producing nations, U.S. has bases, in some cases one base, in several cases many bases in those countries. So when Mitt Romney or any other politician, whether they be Republican or Democrat, comes along and says, we're going to have energy independence by 2020 or whatever date, that's essentially going to mean then that, number one, the U.S. will be forced to shut down all their bases in the Middle Eastern countries. Number two, those countries will obviously stop buying their debt, meaning that the U.S. will be forced to cut back on their spending. And then number three, the oil transactions amongst nations will no longer be done in U.S. dollars, meaning that the U.S. currency will lose its world reserve status. So that's how it is, folks, and that's kind of a short, brief history lesson on this and how the U.S. got to that point. And so I hope you guys learned something from this. I hope you found this beneficial. So I just wanted to kind of state those two things that really stood out to me about really these grandiose ideas that they have, and the fact that they are not only impossible to do, but if they did do them, it would be a completely catastrophic event, not just for the U.S., but for the entire world. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a good night and take care. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.